The Weight of Silence by Heather Gudenkauf. Chapter 25. Antonia. As I make Ben and me a ham sandwich and slice an apple in half, I think of Callie's treasure box. The dandelion fluff reminds me of Lewis, of when we were kids. The summer after Lewis moved here, we'd go out to the meadow behind my house, the very house I live in now. Our field would be filled with happy yellow dandelions, and my mom would pay us a penny a weed to dig them out by the roots. No easy feat. We'd get old spoons and dig down as deep as we could under the roots, and then toss them into an old plastic bucket. We could wrench out about 100 in a day. My mother would give us $1, one shiny quarter for each of our grimy hands. And we'd hop on our bikes, ride downtown to the Morning Glory Cafe, and pool our earnings. I'd buy us a cherry Coke, not the kind that comes in a can like today, but the kind straight out of a soda fountain, with the cherry juice squirted in. Mrs. Morning would always put in 2 straws and 2 cherries, one for Lewis and one for me. Lewis would buy us a basket of French fries, piping hot and salty. He would write my name out on top of the fries in ketchup from the squirt bottle, and then script his own directly below it. The fries with my name on them were mine, and the fries with his name, his to eat. Some days we'd buy a candy bar. I always picked marathon bars, and he would choose a Babe Ruth. Petra's mother, Fielda, was often at the cafe helping her mother. Friendly and sweet, Fielda would stand behind the counter watching us carefully, refilling our sodas. Looking back, I can see that Fielda wanted to be my friend, but I had Lewis, and, well, he was all I needed, all I wanted. Years later, when we became neighbors and were eventually pregnant with our girls at the same time, Fielda tried again, inviting me over for coffee, for walks, but once again, I was aloof. This time, for completely different reasons. I was afraid she'd get an inkling of my sad marriage, catch my husband and me in a bad moment, see the bruises. Eventually, she gave up and left me alone, just as she had eventually done when we were young. Our dandelion weeding would last approximately 10 days. By then, we were bored with the job and had our fill of cherry Cokes and fries. We hadn't even made a dent in removing all the dandelions. They were beginning to seed, and white puffs were whirling in the air above us, undoing all that we'd accomplished. You know, Lewis told me, these really are fairies. Yeah, right, I said, unconvinced. They are. My dad told me. He said that dandelion fluffs are magical fairies. If you grab one before it hits the ground, the fairy will be so grateful she will give you a wish once you set her free. I sat up, setting down my dirt-crusted spoon. This interested me. Lewis never spoke of his father. Ever. I didn't know they had flowers in Chicago. Yeah, they have flowers, and weeds, and grass in Chicago, he said indignantly. Just not so much of it. My dad would say, when fairies dance upon the air, reach out gently and catch one fair. Make a wish and hold it tight, then softly toss your pixie back to summer's night. My dad said his granny from Ireland told him that, and that the wishes really come true. Every summer when we'd see dandelion fluff, We tried to catch one, make a wish, and then blow it back into the air. What did you wish for? I asked. Stuff? Louis, all of a sudden bashful, dropped his spoon and ran toward the woods, grasping at Fluff as he went. What kind of stuff? I called as I chased him. For the Cubs to win the pennant, things like that. He wasn't looking at me. What about your dad? Did you ever wish for your dad? I asked softly. His shoulders sagged, and I thought he would take off running again. No, Dad is dead. It didn't work for stuff like that. You gotta wish for money or to be a movie star or something. He handed me a soft white wish. What are you going to wish for? I thought for a moment, and then blew it gently from my hand, the cottony wisp floating away. What did you wish for? He asked again. For the Cubs to win the pennant, of course, I responded. He laughed, and we ran off to play in the creek. That wasn't my wish, though. I wished for him to have his dad back, just in case. 8 years later, when we were 16, we were back at the creek. We had just made love for the first time, and I was tearful. I couldn't put into words what I was feeling. I knew I loved him. I knew that what we had done wasn't a mistake, but I still wept. Louis was trying to make me smile, tickling me and pulling funny faces, but tears just kept rolling down my face, no matter what he tried. Finally, in an act of desperation, I suppose, he ran from the creek. I sat there, devastated, pulling my clothes on, mucus dropping from my nose. I had lost Louis, my best friend. He came back moments later, though. He held his 2 hands in front of him, clenched tightly. Pick a hand, he said, and I chose his left. He opened his palm, and inside were 3 frail, white tufts of a dandelion. 3 wishes, he said, and then opened his other fist to reveal 3 more dandelion fairies. For each of us. You first, I said through my tears, finally, a smile on my face. That the Cubs win the pennant, he grinned, and I laughed. That I become a policeman. Then his young man's face became serious. And that you will love me forever. Your turn, he said quickly. I thought for a moment. To live in a yellow house. I looked carefully at Louis's face to see if he was laughing at me. He wasn't. To visit the ocean, I continued. And the tears resumed. Great sloppy tears. That you'll love me forever. 3 years later, Louis had gone away to college, and I had married Griff. Damned fairies, I thought to myself now. I don't live in a yellow house. I've never been to the ocean, and Louis didn't love me forever. And my Callie, my dear heart, is missing. All that I touch gets damaged or lost.